Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming back and joining. I wanted to share with you all today a little bit about what I'm seeing with my clients right now. There's this common thing that is continuing to come up with many of my clients that I'm working with right now, and it's this idea of boredom. A lot of my clients are coming to me saying, I'm just so bored right now. And so, of course, as a coach, I'm kind of peeling back those layers of the boredom to find out what's the core of that, right? Where is this coming from? And what do we want to do with it? And as we peel back those layers and kind of explore and see what we can learn, what I'm finding with many of them is that this boredom hides this underlying piece of like, actually, I have lots of things that I want to do, I have lots of things that I need to do, but I'm just not taking action. And so that's being disguised as boredom. This lack of motivation is being disguised as boredom. And so when we're able to get to that core of motivation, then we're able to really have a fruitful conversation around what to do with it. How do we move forward? Well, how do you want to move forward, right? And so that's what I want to bring to you all here today, because I think that probably many of us are feeling that boredom, but at the same time feeling like there's lots of stuff that I can do. And so I want to unpack this idea of motivation. And specifically, I think a lot of us think of motivation as this blanket concept. You either are motivated or you're not. When in reality, there's lots of different ways to be motivated, and we can tap into the different styles of motivation depending on what serves us in that moment and within the context of the circumstances that we're facing in that moment. And so that's what I want to share with you all today. So let's actually just jump right into this first pairing of motivation styles, this idea of conditional versus intrinsic motivation. So conditional motivation is this idea that you're doing it for the reward, you're doing it for the outcome, whereas intrinsic is the idea that you're doing it because you just purely love the process. You're enjoying the journey of getting there, right? And I think there's this idea that intrinsic motivation is where we want to be. It's the best one, right? But the reality is, with all of these that I'm going to share with you, is there is no good or bad, or right or wrong. The idea is what's useful for me now. And so, in reality, conditional motivation can be really, really great to kickstart your action, to really just get you going in gear. The flip side of that is that it's not as great for those long term actions. And in the long run, we start to kind of lose steam. So either that reward that we get in the end has to get larger and larger, or the work to get to that reward has to go get less and less. And so in that case, that's when the intrinsic motivation can come in and kind of pick up where the conditional motivation leaves off. So the conditional motivation gets you kick-started in that direction. The intrinsic keeps you going in the long run because you're enjoying the process, you're enjoying the journey. And the thing, though, about that intrinsic piece, again, like I said, not good, not bad, but it has both sides of the coin. So with intrinsic motivation, it does require a lot of mental discipline. And that is not something that is always easy to tap into. And so that's the challenge for the intrinsic motivation side of the coin. So that's conditional versus intrinsic. Then we have reactive versus proactive. Reactive motivation is the idea that you are motivated away from something, and proactive motivation is that you're motivated towards something, right? So, for example, someone might be motivated to eat healthy because they have a family history of diabetes, let's say. And so they're motivated away from their family history. They don't want to get to that place. And so they're motivated to be healthy and eat healthy because they want to get away from this thing that they don't want. Whereas proactive motivation shows up in, like, maybe I'm eating healthy because I have this image, this idea of the version of me that I want to become, right? That's proactive motivation. Again, neither one is good or bad, better or worse than the other. The idea is what is useful in the situation in front of me, right? And then this last pairing of motivation styles is motivation for the sake of yourself versus motivation for the sake of others. And that one seems pretty simple in terms of explanation. You're either motivated because what you gain from that process, what you gain from achieving that goal, versus you are motivated for what others gain from you accomplishing that goal. Now, the one thing here that sometimes people feel like, being motivated for the sake of yourself kind of feels selfish. It feels icky. And so the question becomes, how do you find that support for others within the project that you're doing for yourself, right? And so if that motivation for self, if you really are motivated for what you gain from it, but it also feels icky, then you can ask yourself, how does what I'm doing benefit others? And that allows you to tap into that other side of the motivation. And the flip works as well. So if you are feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm always doing things for other people and I'm really motivated, and those are always bumping my stuff out of the way because I'm really motivated to help others, but I'm recognizing that, that I am suffering from that. So then how do you flip the coin the other way and ask yourself, like, how is taking care of myself benefiting others, right? So it goes both ways, and you can kind of lean from one and pull from one into the other in order to tap into that motivation that you want to get to, or that you might not be using right now, that could be really helpful to you. So my question for you is, if you are feeling unmotivated right now, even if you're feeling really motivated right now, I want you to take a moment to recognize, where did these different motivational styles show up in your life? Because like I said in the beginning, we all leverage these different motivation styles in different ways at different points in our lives. None is better than the other. None is worse than the other. The idea is being intentional around what we're tapping into in order to get where we want to go, right? So, where do each of these motivation styles fit in your life currently? Where do you naturally lean towards one or the other within your life? Then the next step is, what are you learning about yourself within that context of that area of your life, and leaning into that motivation style that you can then apply in other areas where you're not feeling as motivated. Now, I want to be clear. This concept is multi-layered, lots of layers to it. It's very complex, and I just gave it to you in a nutshell. So this might be a video that you watch 2, 3, 4 times to really grasp this. But I want you to break it down. Step 1, where are these motivation styles showing up for you? Step 2, what can you learn about yourself from noticing where they're showing up? Step 3, how do you take that learning and apply it to other areas of your life where you need it? Okay? And if you're interested in digging into this even more in more detail, jump on over to my website, lifelivedbydesign.com, and sign up for a complimentary design session, and we can dig into this more and see what else we can learn. I hope that's helpful to at least get you jump started in a direction towards motivation. You all have an amazing weekend.